Okay, here we go. Kerbal Space Program, Episode 2. Last time we left off, I did a single launch, got a little bit of science, did a little bit of research, I think. Yep, there we go, we got some basic parts unlocked. Today, I think we're going to try for the moon. Let's see what we can do for that. Get some parachutes, get some basic safety systems, science pods, antennas. Right where I want them to be. Alright, that'll be our final return vessel. Should do, I think. Let's go ahead and put some landing legs on there, you know. A little extra safety never hurts anyone. Well, this being Kerbal, sometimes it hurts a lot of people. Kerbals. But, you know, win some, lose some. Anyway, that is our top stage, done pretty much. So I'm going to move on to, let's say, the lander stage. What do you think of that? I don't know. Wish I had fuel lines and I could use more tanks to build a bigger base, but for now I think this will be okay. Let's use a 909. It's good for landing on the moon. Get some more landing legs down here. Alright. Oh, those are a little off. I want 4 symmetry. Thank you. For those who don't know, I'm using X to switch through my symmetries. I am also using Alt-click to copy parts. And Shift and WASD to move very slight angles. That should be helpful for those of you who are new to the game. I'm going to continue building here, and I think I'm going to go for a full 4 symmetry on the orbital stage. Let's get some good sources of fuel. I'm going to go a little high on the decoupler so I can add another tank underneath, and then we'll go with, I think we'll go with 30s. I usually don't use LV-30s on probes because there's not enough reaction control within the pod and a probe to control the vessel properly, especially during a launch. So this is probably going to be okay with a proper command pod and a real Kerbal in there. We're going to get enough control to get this vehicle into space. So that should be the orbital stage. Do we have any batteries of any kind? No? Oh well, okay. So then we need, well, the 2 launch stages really. One stage to get it up in the air and then another stage to get it into orbit. So let's see. My orbital stage is usually, well, pretty much these guys. Tell you what, I'm going to test this and see how high it gets, and then we'll determine what we need to do from there. Save. I don't think I need any action groups. Jeb, you can stay at home. You get out too much. Let's use Guzri. I think he'll be okay. I didn't check my staging. That might need a little bit of work before we actually take off. Let's see. No, that should be good. Alright, computer controls, full throttle. Let's take some science from the launch pad, just for good measure. Here we go, that's good stuff. Don't need any of that. Alright, here we go. 3, 2, 1, launch. It's a lot of thrust for a vehicle this small. Obviously, I'm not going to be using full thrust in orbit. Well, I might, depending on how big of an adjustment I need to make to my vector. I think we might reach 10,000 feet. might be the case that I just attach some solid boosters to this to get it through, well, to about here, and then just let it go from there. This stage is just about out of fuel. There we go. Detach those, power up this next engine. See how far this one gets us. Currently our Apoapsis is right around 90,000. That's mostly from the first stage. So that's definitely enough velocity to get us up into where we want to be. Going for it now. Let's use a bit of time acceleration to speed this up. It's a really small craft, it shouldn't be affected by anything too much in terms of the space cracking and errors in warp physics, as we've all come to know and love in Kerbals. 300 kilometers now on my Apoapsis. Where's my fuel? There we go. Almost out of fuel. There it goes. Apoapsis 775. That's pretty good. That's a good amount of velocity. If I use that properly, I could probably turn that into an orbit. But for the time being, let's grab an EVA report while we're up here. Get back in the pod, go ahead and transmit that. Then we'll nice and gently kind of time warp up and down. Looks like it's going to be a water landing. Alright, let's detach that stage. Disengage computer controls, put the landing gears down. Alright. Now I do have a mod called SafeChute installed, which should exit me from time warp when I open my chutes. I haven't tried this out yet, but let's see what happens. It does not. Ugh. Alright, well my chutes are open. I'm still about 500 meters in the air. I'm going to go ahead and time warp down, because this does tend to take a while with this many parachutes. I'm using 4. So this does take a couple minutes if you don't time warp, and even in the mission clock you can see it's counting up quite a bit. Alright, getting pretty low here, come back on the time warp. 10 meters to go. And touchdown. Nice and gentle. Observe the goo, get a crew report, EVA report, surface sample, all the good sciencey stuff. Go ahead and get back in if we can. Oh boy. There we go. Recover that vessel. Alright. 28.1 science. That's better than my last mission, I think. Definitely more points of data. Funding is still doing good. Goosery's back. Alright. Missions. Lots of things. I'm just going to go ahead and accept these all. I'm pretty much just going to continue to play as I normally would, and if I happen to accomplish missions on the way, then so be it. If it comes down to it that I need a little bit extra science or money or something like that, then I might design specific craft to get very small amounts of science. Like, I really want the science tech node so I can get the Science Junior Bay. Allows for a lot more transfer of science. This antenna is a lot better. It allows for more data transmissions per second, and I think it has a better power rate. Does it? Let's see. 10 charge per packet. 8 emits or numbers. That's actually a little bit more power for a little bit less bandwidth. Interesting. Well, it looks cool. And this is our scanner for looking for kethane and initial batteries. Can't get any of that yet. Alright, let's return to working on our mooncraft. This is looking pretty damn good. I think the only thing we really need to add on here are some solid rocket boosters. Let's see where our center of mass is. I'm going to place these just a little bit above the center of mass. Seems to work out a little bit better in most cases. I'm actually going to go for the top tank, since that's the one that's attached to the inner decoupler. That's just one less point of flexing between center of mass and the solid rocket boosters. I'm going to use big ones, I think. Should be good. Get this nice and low. There we go. That looks good. I'm not entirely confident that we can fully achieve lunar orbit and descent with this, so I'm going to add just a little bit of extra fuel on top of the second stage. What's going on there? Come on now. There we go. That should just help out, get us mostly from orbital injection to the moon to the surface of the moon, I think. That's what that'll help with. Actually, now that I think about this, we do have a lot of space underneath now. So what I might do, put a decoupler down there, make sure it's in the right spot. That gets a little messy sometimes. If you put it on that node that's a little bit higher, it doesn't seem to work all the time. I'm just going to add a second small stage with a 30, which is actually a decent amount of power. So let's see, I'm going to lower all of these down just a little bit. Right about there should be good. I'm actually using the shadow. That doesn't seem to work. Okay. Camera's always been something a little bit tricky with this game. But the more you work with it, the more you learn about it, and the more you're able to use it properly, and eventually is the idea. Yeah, now where did those stages go? Messy. Messy, messy, messy. Alright, first stage, solid rocket boosters. Then they detach, and then we have these engines. Nah, not that one. Okay. Those engines, then those engines detach, then this one engages, then it detaches, then that engine engages. And by then, I hope we're on the surface. I hope we're on the surface. Alright, saving. Crew, Jeb, you're not going to the moon. You're our pilot for aircraft, I believe. Moonfrid. Frid and Fred. And then we have Siri down here. I think I'm going to go with Kurgan. Someone who has enough chutzpah to get it done. Someone who's not really bogged down with intelligence, who's able to make decisions regardless of logic. That's who I choose for my moon mission. Alright, here we go. SAS on. Full throttle. Not taking science from the launch pad this time because we need all of those pods for the moon. And here we go. Glad I added that extra stage. I'm not sure that this would have been enough fuel to get me there had I not. Alright, looks like first stage is going to run out right about at 4,500 meters. Oh, past that. 5,000 meters. Almost 6,000 meters. Detaching, next stage, engage. Gonna start just a little bit of a turn. Most people will tell you that you need to start your gravity turn at 10,000 meters rather. That's just more of a guideline, really. Whatever specific path you use to achieve your orbit. Just once you get to that thicker, denser, light blue scale in the atmosphere is when you're really able to start accelerating. Beneath that, you need to keep it under about 220 meters a second, otherwise you're fighting the air just too much. You're wasting fuel just pushing through the air. So by waiting until you get into that kind of royal blue area on that meter there, which is at about 10,000 feet, that you can really start accelerating and pushing yourself in the direction you want to go. This is looking pretty good. That's almost in orbit. Let's take a look at how we're doing here. Apoapsis is 130 almost. 3 minutes till there. I'm going to go ahead and plan a maneuver. Maneuvers aren't something really dramatic that you have to stick to. Excuse me. They're more of just guidelines. I usually use them just to find the point that I want to face before time warping. And just as an easy reference of how long it's going to take to get to that node on my orbit. Alright, there we go. I don't think we have this next engine engaged yet, so let's turn that on. Make sure we're aiming exactly right, and go ahead and burn for orbit. I believe I am using an LV-30, that's a good amount of thrust. Gonna go ahead and get rid of that maneuver, don't need it anymore. Waiting for it to flip around, there it goes, alright. That is in orbit. I'm going to go ahead and neutralize controls for 10 seconds as per the mission. Ooh, this might take a minute to find. Orbit Kerbal achieved. And our missions from last episode. There is a little bit of fuel left. I'm going to go ahead and burn that just to get rid of this stage. There we go. Now I really had hoped to be on the moon by now. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know, we might be able to get there, but I don't think we could land properly. So this is a nice second test, but we need a little bit more thrust if we're actually going to make it to the moon. Alright, having gathered some data, go ahead and transmit that, assuming we actually have enough charge. Barely barely. Kind of flipping around naturally. I'm okay with that. I think we might be able to get a different EVA report now. From the water, yes. Last episode, I gathered a bunch of EVA reports and put them all through the antenna. But because I was not generating any power, I was not able to gather that science. So all those reports don't really exist. Alright, I think it's about time we start coming back down now. We also need to generate some power so we can send... Oh, 909s don't generate power. Well... Okay then. So yeah, that EVA report from the water, still in the antenna. I think reports that are in the antenna when you recover the craft don't exist. So that's something to think about. I'm thrusting towards the day side. Let's just imagine for a moment that we've been to the moon and we're coming back. Ah, what a beautiful little craft. It made it to the moon and it's on its way back already. No, we're lying to ourselves? Okay. Well, I am still going to bring this down so we can get our science from it. And then we will add a bit more fuel and take another stab at this. But for now, I'm going to sign off. It's been about 20 minutes, so that's the end of this episode. I will join you next time when I hope to have a completed moon mission ready to go. Will not fly it without you guys. Leave a like and comment on anything you think I should do or missions you want me to do. The support really helps, and I like hearing from you guys, so please leave those likes, leave those comments, and I'll see you next time.